Guys, welcome back to the channel where I cover missing persons, unsolved cases, crime news, and more. I wanted to get back into the Maddie Soto case. I know I haven't covered it much lately. There has been stuff going on, but there will be a lot more going on after the new year, obviously, with Stephan Sterns' trial for the CSAM in the end of February. Now, the biggest reason I want to do this video is because Nancy Grace did a video, I think last week or pretty much about a week ago, and she went on about how Jenn Soto has immunity. That's not exactly the case, okay? I want to say right off the bat, I really do like Nancy Grace. I have a high respect for her. I had hoped to meet her at CrimeCon. She's definitely someone I really respect, but even really smart people and former lawyers, as Nancy is, and they don't always get it right, okay? The interview that Jenn Soto did on April 18th of this year with the district attorney, as well as the detectives and her attorney, gave her derivative use immunity. Now, that's not a huge, wide circle immunity. So she can't just get away with every single thing that she's done. Basically, they gave her the chance to tell them the truth, wipe whatever she stated from the time she reported Madeline missing to that time. Okay? Anything else, or if she told any lies, was deceptive at this sort of a proffer situation, they could nail her on it, or if they find other information. So this gave her the chance to basically, in my opinion, get away with potentially murder and CSAM, because I believe there's a lot going on there, and I know I'm not alone. Definition, for those that would like a definition of derivative use immunity, is it's a type of protection given to a person who is forced to testify in a criminal case. So obviously they need or want Jenn Soto's testimony. They want her, she's going to testify obviously at his trials, and I said trials because remember, he's got his murder trial later in the year, 2025. So they want her, what she knows, that's what they were trying to get out of her. Okay, so I personally don't think they need it, but hey, I'm not the district attorney. It means that the person's testimony cannot be used against them in a future prosecution. However, the government can still prosecute if they can prove that their evidence came from a different source. This type of immunity is granted to encourage people to testify without fear of incriminating themselves. So basically, like I said, they gave her the opportunity to wipe her slate clean, come clean, clear her conscience, or whatever the hell you want to call it. And if she did that, she didn't lie, or they didn't find out other things that she kept from them, she is in the clear. Legally. Okay? But that doesn't mean she's not potentially screwed later on. And I believe, personally, that after this upcoming February trial, I think that her goose may be cooked. And I hope and pray that more comes out against Jennifer Soto, because she wasn't just an awful mother. I believe she participated, and I believe she knew a lot. My personal opinion, and I think I've stated it before here on the channel, is that by the time that her family, because she never called 911, remember, by the time Jenn's family, her sister, her mother, they all called 911 to report Maddie missing, I believe at some point between the time that of that morning when Madeline was in the car with Stephan, all this evidence that they have against Stephan, seeing him in the videos, him disposing of her backpack and laptop in the dumpster at the complex, him going to St. Cloud, all of that, and the time that she went to Hunters Creek Middle School to pick her up, allegedly, I believe Jenn knew her daughter was dead. That's my opinion, okay? Again, I have to make it clear, this is my opinion, and I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an expert at any of this stuff, but it just, I don't buy, personally, that she had no idea that he did all this stuff. I believe not only did Jenn know about the sex stuff, okay, but I also believe she knew about what happened between the time that she went to bed that night and that morning. Again, I don't know what time that all came to be. But I wouldn't be surprised if detectives have a closer window nailed down. Because if you watch her, when the officers come to respond to her daughter missing, you remember when they came to take the report, her behavior was just, it was wrong. I'm not a mother, but I mean, I've had, animals, I have loved ones. If I had a really good friend or a family member go missing, I would be more upset than Jennifer was about her daughter being missing. I mean, seriously. The lack of emotion was just so intense to me that I immediately knew, it was like bells were going off, alarms were going off in my brain. And I believe detectives saw that right off the bat. And just to remind you guys, let me actually play a bit of that from when the deputies first came to, this is her mother's office in Hunters Creek, not far from her Madeline's middle school. And let's watch a bit of Jennifer's reaction, as well as Stephan's, to giving their report that Maddie was missing.
Hey there.
Hey there. What's going on?
So, my daughter was dropped off close to school this morning, but never made it. I went to pick her up from school.
I'm sorry, 1 second.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
So, you have to look at Jenn, very suspicious behavior, and then you've got Stephan there with his arms crossed. That's an immediate, closing himself off sort of body language.
Okay. So she was supposed to be dropped off at school, didn't make it to school.
Didn't make it to school. I went to pick her up from school today,
Okay.
and she never came out. They announced it over the speaker, and I'm just like, maybe she walked here, because sometimes she'll walk here to this office. I came here, nothing. I went back to the school, they were closed. I got an email from the school saying she was absent, but I also messaged her teacher, and he looked at her entire attendance today and saw that she was completely not at school today either.
Okay.
So she never made it.
Okay. What's her name?
Madeline. Madeline.
Madeline. Last name?
Soto. S-O-T-O.
And why does Stephan suddenly get involved? He's speaking with Jenn, okay? And I realize he's next to her, but as soon as he asks what's her name, he's like echoing her, Madeline Soto. I mean, I think Jenn can speak for herself about her own child, even though I question the fact that she's a mother. But that's a whole nother thing.
Date of birth?
February 22nd, 2011.
February 27th, 2000.
22nd,
Oh, sorry, 22nd,
2011.
2011.
Just had her 13th birthday.
13.
18 Charlie 45. What's the name of the single age?
Madeline Soto, age 13. I'm trying to get a clothing description now. What was she last seen wearing?
26 County Charlie 45. Can you put him on call 931? It's the same call.
Green hoodie,
Green hoodie,
white Crocs,
white Crocs,
either blue or black pants.
I think black shorts.
Black shorts.
Yeah.
black shorts. Okay.
Now here is where Stephan can open his fat ass mouth. Okay? Because he should have been, well, allegedly, was the last person to see Madeline alive. And that morning is when he obviously dressed her and put her in his car. And you notice when Mom there says shorts, after he said pants, he's like, oh yeah, shorts. I still wonder if there was something else going on that she was aware of even before he dumped her in St. Cloud. Again, I'm not saying that that's true, but maybe she was supposed to be in shorts and Stephan screwed that up. I don't know.
Black shorts. All right. Do you know if she has like friends in the area?
She does, but she doesn't know where they live.
She doesn't know where they live. Okay.
I asked all of them.
Okay. Is this like, did she like have any places that you guys know that she'll usually be at? Any friend's house? Any places that like she likes to hang out?
Typically, no.
No.
Speaking of the derivative immunity interview, let's play the beginning of that one. And for those that have followed the Sarah Boone case, you might recognize the voice at the beginning.
Good morning. We are at the State Attorney's Office in Kissimmee. It's 8:57 a.m. It is April 18th, 2024. I am William J. I am the Division Chief for the Homicide Unit. With me is Danielle Pinnell, also from the Homicide Unit in Kissimmee. Can the detectives identify themselves?
Detective Mark Morris.
Detective Kyle Smallwood. And with us is
Jennifer Soto.
with your attorney, Matthew Barker. All right. We went over some things before we went on the record and told you had the opportunity to ask any questions that you needed to ask. If you need a break to consult with your attorney, that is absolutely fine. We'll all step out of the room, turn off our recorders, and let you exercise your constitutional right to have counsel. There's no problem with that. Right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay, thank you. All right, this is an investigative subpoena, so you've been compelled to be here. And in our country, under the 5th Amendment and the 14th Amendment as applied to you under the Florida Constitution as well, you cannot be forced to incriminate yourself. So anything you say today can't and won't be used against you unless you just don't tell us the truth. And I've already explained to your attorney, Mr. Bark, whether or not you've made any inconsistent statements in the past, that is dirt under the bridge, and either a misdemeanor was committed or it wasn't, but we're not going to be using that as a basis of some sort of perjury by false statements, because those other charges wouldn't be perjury anyways. So the most important thing today is to tell the truth. I also explained derivative use immunity, which means if you said that there was a gun, and obviously there's no gun in this case, buried in your attorney's yard, we couldn't go dig up that gun if you told us that, oh yeah, there's the gun that was used is right there. We wouldn't be able to do that. We would have to show that we learned all those things independently from this interview. Okay? Do you have any questions? All right.
All right, so Mr. J, whom those that have again followed Sarah Boone, familiar with him, and he's definitely a favorite of mine in Orange, Osceola County. He explained it in brief. I'm sure they went through it much more in depth beforehand, and her attorney advised her. But this one was all about anything she's done prior, and as long as she tells the truth, and again, they would have to also find other avenues to prove that she did something besides what they already had. However, I'm sure there's many ways for that to happen. And this is the point when the state has believed that Jenn has committed misdemeanors, which would just be perjury, for example, which is what he stated. They were not believing she was a part of any felonies, because pursuing a misdemeanor for them in this case is peanuts. Okay? They want Stephan and of course anyone else that may be involved if that is the case. As I still believe that there is a ring involving Santa and his son from St. Cloud. And y'all can reference, I have a couple of videos on St. Cloud Santa on the channel for those that are questioning who that is. They lived in St. Cloud, not far from where Madeline was dumped. But the bottom line is, they offered her derivative use immunity, and they were, as long as she told the truth, the perjury stuff was, like he said, water under the bridge. That's not, in the grand scheme of things, that's not what they wanted to pursue. However, again, if they find out that she's a part of the CSAM, distributing, being a part of taking photos, being a part of, on and on as far as that's concerned, and if she potentially was an accessory to the Big M, okay, that would be a whole nother thing, completely. And remember, Jenn said a lot of crazy stuff in her interviews. Specifically in her interviews, her second or third interviews, and as well as the video interview that we went through. One of the biggest things that she said that really still blows my mind to this day would be this.
If anything, I've always told him that my biggest fear is that this would turn into a Woody Allen situation where the stepdaughter or the dad grooms the child and the child then turns 18 and ends up running away with him. I told him that was my biggest fear and I don't ever want that happening. You can't do that to me.
Why would you say that to him?
Because I never trusted. I grew up being told never trust a man. My mom put that in my body, never trust a man. And I did not completely 100% trust the man, but in my, the logic in my head was saying, he's been in your life for 7 years, nothing's happened, he hasn't shown you anything that he's weird, or that he's done or that he's interested in her, or said anything about her body, or talked to her about her in any specific way that creeped me out. He's never said anything like that, or shown me any of those signs, so I thought I could trust him, that he was safe, that he was a good guy, and that he was taking care of my baby and loved her the way I loved her, but I was wrong.
I don't know anyone else who would ever have such a concern that their family, their child would end up in a quote-unquote Woody Allen situation. It just, again, it still blows my mind. And that's so telling to me that she knew. And you can't tell me otherwise. I believe she knew. And when she goes on and says, my mom put it in my body not to trust a man, I don't believe that for a hot second, Jenn. It's just, it's so hard for me to believe anything that comes out of Jenn Soto's mouth. And the whole, she's got mental issues. She's got, depression, anxiety, PTSD, on and on and on and on. There's certain things that are, I go with that. But You know, there's no excuse. There's no excuse for not taking care of your child and making her a priority in your world. And I don't think, despite what she told the detective in a previous interview, that everything that she did, oh, everything I did revolved around Maddie. Everything I did was for her. Wrong. Another crock of crap out of Jenn Soto's mouth. I don't believe she truly loved Maddie. I think Maddie reminded her of Tyler, and that she didn't get to be with him. And we see this happening all the time. We see it that the father, the mother, hates the child because they remind them of someone that they couldn't be with. Okay? The opposite side. The father, if it's the mother, vice versa. You guys get what I'm saying. It just happened with, I think, with Quentin Simon, Lilani, whatever you want to call her, Lilani. She killed Quentin because she hated him, because I think she hated his father. You look at Harmony Montgomery. Adam hates Crystal Saray. Hates her with a passion. Harmony reminded him, of her mother. This happens all the time in these cases. It just happens so often, and it makes me sick. A poor innocent child has to suffer, be abused, and eventually lose their lives because of a selfish parent, which is not a parent in my book. So I believe Jenn never probably wanted Maddie. I'm sure she had her time where she loved her daughter, but I think she wanted to be, all about Jenn. I mean, look at where she made her daughter sleep. A makeshift bedroom and on the bottom floor of the home, behind separators that even had holes in them. I mean, they weren't even, it was not even a kind of privacy. There was no privacy for Maddie. She was a 12-year-old that just turned 13. I can't imagine how much she hated being there. So hearing that she wanted to leave her home and go live in the woods, hearing where she had to sleep and all the abuse she put up with, I can't blame her at all. This poor child held so much pain inside of her. It's horrible. And it makes me sick. So I firmly believe, you guys, that Jenn Soto, she's not going to get away with this. Unless she truly didn't know, and I don't believe for a hot second. I just can't believe it. She did. Perjury to me is crap, okay? If that's what they're thinking, because that's basically what the derivative immunity was about. They thought, okay, well, she just lied. She was protecting Stephan, okay? Which I still can't imagine why she protected his ass. I mean, I love how the detective said it on her. Why the hell would you protect him and offer him a lawyer? But she knew what was going on in that bedroom upstairs. She knew what Stephan was doing. And I dare to say she had involvement. And again, about the whole M situation, the whole murder, I don't necessarily believe that she did it. I do believe it was Stephan. But I believe she was an accessory after the fact, if nothing else. So that's my thoughts on it, and I look forward to hearing the rest of the evidence. I mean, we've gotten a lot of interviews and information, thankfully, due to all these FOIAs and such, which still surprises me that they've released this much. A lot of cases don't. But in February, the end of February, I plan on being there for at least part of the first trial. I don't know how much I can stomach of that one. But it's definitely time for justice for Maddie. And I believe there's more than Stephan Sterns that needs to be behind bars. All right, guys, I hope you have a great rest of the day. And most of all, stay safe.